Welcome back for some fantastic One Piece content. So, yeah, One Piece. The One Piece is real. It is coming out to a store near you this upcoming week. Happy Thanksgiving, guys, and welcome to what December has in store for us. So, let's get talking to what would be our first market watch. I don't know if this is something that you guys would be interested in, but I just want to keep you guys updated so that when you go um, into your openings this week, into your card shops, when you start getting excited to buy some products that you're not overpaying, you're getting some good trades in, you're kind of going with the mentality that you need to know in terms of financial budgeting for the deck that you want to play. So starting off, boxes on TCG Player. Now we're going to use all of TCG Player's prices to kind of use them as our guide for averaging things out. There are other websites, eBay and things like that, that people might try to get their pricings from or try to get their information from, but I'm going to use TCG Player, as TCG Player low is like the best way, in my opinion, to get a very good market price. They have great price history. They have graphs. They've got it all in terms of statistics and how many of these have been sold. So it's looking like the boxes for Romance Dawn are settling in like 116 bucks, 65 cents. You can argue it to like 120 if your local game store has anything less than 120, 110, 100. 100 seems like a pretty good price. I know that when people were ordering their stuff early, they were getting it for much cheaper, 80s and things like that. So anyone that ordered early in advance, God bless, you guys got a great deal. The boxes just kept going up in price. So so starting off, yeah, that's the box. I'm rating about 120 bucks per box. This brings that's a great question. 24 booster packs. And I think the booster packs themselves on TCG Player were selling individually for like 8 to 10 bucks. So in that of itself, boxes are kind of more of a deal than it is to buy the individual packs. So starting off with the secret rares, we have Shanks. Man, that's expensive. Jeez. I mean, we know it's a really good card. We know that this card is played off in like maybe one or two in red decks. A lot of red decks even opt not to have this card. Let's talk about the fact that besides it being like a good or bad card, it's definitely a collector card, right? Look at it's just Shanks, man. Shanks is a fantastic character from the story. So even players that don't play the TCG, don't expect to play it competitively, might still want this card. Being that it is a secret makes it very, very hard to acquire. One per box, so it's either this or Yamato. And then there's also parallel versions of either of them. So if you hit the alternate arts of either of those guys, there are no prices for them. But we'll get to that later. But those cards are going to be very, very expensive. If you want to play Shanks in your deck, you see that initially the market price was like 86, 69, but it's starting to fall. And when I say starting to fall, it seems like someone has three of them listed for 76. As more and more product comes out, I do expect this card to just tank. And by tank, I mean settle itself somewhere between like the 50s. So, and this is just all speculation based off like other card games. It's very difficult to say how much, depending on the amount of product that we have in the States or, in the West, it's really going to determine how much these cards are going to go for. So I personally, because of the competitive viability of this card and it being a secret, the secret is really what's holding it up. Competitive viability, collectability, and all those things kind of want to weigh it down a bit. So there has to be a happy medium between those two things. I expect this card to settle anywhere between the 50s, $60 price tag. It might drop below like the 40s. In future sets, this card might become really, really low until the set becomes out of print. And then when the set goes out of print, this card will go back up. I'm using my knowledge from, again, other Bandai games in terms of Digimon. Imagine Omnimon. Omnimon in the first set was $100, $150, $200. And now the card is, yikes, man. I don't even want to talk about the fact that it's $10 and it's been 2 years. So the longevity of these secret rares from the first set, if it follows, other trends from other card games, it might dip. If you want to play this card in your deck, I would recommend you, if you don't want it just right away, if you're not a collector, if you can afford to wait a couple weeks, please do yourself a favor of, wait a couple weeks, wait for that Christmas money. If you get so lucky to get some and use that maybe to get your Shanks and fill up your collection. But either way, $76 for a secret. That looks really good. So every time you buy a box, you have a chance of either getting Shanks or Yamato, and you can use this money. I mean, statistically, the high chances are really high to get either or. And you can use that. You can trade it. You can sell it. You can do what you want with it. Use it as like card fodder. If you're not interested in playing Shanks in your deck, I definitely would recommend trading it so you can fill up your collection, fill up your decks and cards that you want, because these secret rares are really high compared to everything else. Yamato. Yamato is 60 bucks. Market price, we don't have any data for this card. They just slapped it up for 60 bucks. In terms of competitive viability, I think this card is much more competitively viable than the Shanks. You see this in a lot of the LoL decks. The card is really cool. It has combo power, it has double attack, it has banish, 5k, 5. It's not a bad card by any means, but it's also not something you put like a 4 of in your deck. Neither Shanks or Yamato are 4 ofs typically. So it's really hard to know how much value they would have in your deck. But once again, same thing as Shanks. Fantastic card. The secret has more trade bait. In the early stages of this game, I believe that the Shanks will be more valuable than Yamato. But as the set settles down and progresses, I think Yamato might overtake the Shanks. I think more people are going to just swing into the Law deck. And this card is very good in Law, as you can use it to combo power with it. And it just kind of works more in the Law deck than Shanks does in any of the red decks. So even though Shanks, I might say 50, 60, Shanks might dip into the 40s, where this will maintain like a 50, 60 threshold. This card, I feel, has more room for playability in the competitive scene. It might not be as collector friendly, and therefore that's where it loses some of the value. But in terms of competitive play, I can see this card settling at, like, again, $45, $40. If you want to play this card in your deck and you can afford to wait, same principle applies. And then I'm going to show you guys here just what you can get from all the parallel rares, right? So these are the two that we have available in terms of secret. And then Shanks has 2 parallel rares. You have the alternate art parallel rare and the just parallel rare. Like, holy crap. I mean, if you get this, you're in the money. I think this card on eBay was averaging anywhere between above $1,000 to $2,000. It's very difficult to open these. If you do open one of these, my goodness, you've hit the money. Sleeve that bad boy up. If you don't want it for your own collection, grade it, sell it. You hit the money. This is like exactly what you want to see, but it's going to be very difficult. If you don't see this card ever get pulled in front of you or ever pull it yourself, don't be surprised. That's why it has that price tag. It's pretty difficult to open one of these. I've seen many opening videos and seen people's loot, and unless they're withholding information, it seems like this card is almost impossible to pull. So if you get lucky enough to hit the lottery with this card, congratulations. But it's an absolutely fantastic looking card. Just if you're able to have this in your collection, any One Piece collector will love to have this in their collection. So definitely has a lot of viability in that. And then you have the parallel, which is much friendlier in terms of price, but it's still rather expensive for a card. I think this was settling anywhere between like $300 to $500. So expensive. The numbers are kind of out there. But once again, if you get lucky enough to hit one of these cards, do as you see fit with your finances. And then you have the parallel Yamato, which does not go anywhere near these cards, but it's still, what a beautiful card. And if you are playing it in your deck, it's kind of a big flex. So yeah, just to let you guys know, there are 3, besides the 2 secrets, there are 3 other parallel versions of the secrets that you can hit. And yeah, if the secrets were expensive, the parallel rares or the alternate arts are going to be even more expensive. And then going on to the supers, man. I put these from high to low, so we're going to see like some higher numbers, and we're just going to start settling into some other cheaper numbers. But we have Zoro. Zoro is the most expensive super rare that's currently listed on TCG Player. 1669. It was listed initially at 17, and it's just fallen just a bit. 18 bucks, I guess, was the first, like $19, and then it's just dropped. So they kind of wanted to push this card as a $20 super. Jesus. And then it's just kind of settled a little bit lower. I mean, there's only 7 listings as of right now. Again, this set hasn't come out. These are all speculative knowledge, so you guys can be well equipped for the set coming out in December. But $20 for this Zoro is kind of insane in my opinion. Super rares, I believe the way that they just go about it in terms of, I think they do the same thing as Digimon or other Bandai games. You get 1 per pack. There shouldn't be that difficult to pull these. I mean, maybe not 1 per pack, but you get quite a couple per box. And if that's the case, I don't see why you would be able not to get your hands on Zoros. Is a card that'll probably very easily get traded over the first couple events. It is a Straw Hat crew. It is a main character. This guy is collector friendly because everyone loves Zoro. He is super cool in the anime, super badass, and a fantastic card to boot. 3-drop 5k, and it has Rush. Honestly, one of the most overstated cards in the game right now. So I can understand why it has this crazy price tag for what is this super, but I can see this card averaging like 10 bucks. $10 super, which is not terrible. You can easily get 4 of these. Remember, this also comes in parallel rare, which that card is going to be spicy. But we'll get to those in just a minute. But this is something between like a $15 super right now on release, which isn't terrible. Again, if you're not trying to play red or anything red equivalent, very good trade bait. This card will fly to any red player, any law player. Anyone who's playing Zoro, Luffy, or Law will need this card at multiple numbers. So definitely trade it for what you need, and it's just a fantastic card no matter what. And then we'll get to the Monkey D. Luffy of the set. So Luffy, this card is cracked. You have a 2-drop 3k that, you know, as an effect attaches to Don, so it's a 2-drop 5k, and then it gets the Don, makes it a 2-drop 7k. This card is insane. Such a value heavy card for red. And it has this weird ability where when it has 2 Dawn active, which it will have 2 Dawn always under it, it just cannot be destroyed or KO'd by strike characters, which I don't know how important that is, but if it comes up, it comes up. This card has just too much text on it for what a 2-drop is, and combo power. Once again, better red cards. Currently going for 15. It initially was listed at what? I guess it says here like 17 bucks. Around the same idea. There are a ton listed currently, and I believe a ton listed in the future. Again, it's a super rare. I expect this card to go down $10 range, but it's a really, really good one, and it has a parallel rare to boot. So if you want to bling out your deck, you got options. Big Boy Kaido. So big 10-drop Chungus Dark Hole card is $7. You know, honestly, not that bad. And if you're playing purple, you're playing this card at anywhere between 2 to 4, and you're almost completed with your deck. Like, most of the super rares from the set, if you have the structure decks already available to you, you don't need that many. And then once you have like the commons, and you can make your deck less vanilla, less structure deck, your deck just becomes so much better. And this is one of the cards that is like supposed to be the best cards in your deck, and it's only $7. It's not terrible for purple players, man. I can see this card settling at an easy $5. Easy, quick $5 exchange for this card. If this is the $7 like pre-release hyped price, it's crazy, man. There's not even that many up compared to the Luffy. Not bad. If you're a purple player, you're eating really good. I was expecting this card to have a higher price tag, like the Luffy. This card maybe was showing to be like a 15 currently, but it's actually showing 8, which is so bizarre. You never know. I actually, surprisingly enough, think this card is undervalued in comparison to the other 2 supers. If the other 2 supers are 15 to 20, this card should fall in line with it, in my opinion. This is more of a 4 of in your deck than it is a 2 of. So a little bizarre here on this one. Expect to pay, if you can get this card for this price, you're not feeling too bad. If you can get it for cheaper, you're nuts. And if you get it for a little over, you can't feel too bad. This card is fantastic. And if someone doesn't want to trade it for this value and they want to go more towards 10, it seems pretty reasonable to me. Eustace Captain Kidd. Another card that really stunned me. I guess it's not because they're not main character energy. It's not a Luffy. It's not a Zoro. If that makes the sense, if that's what's driving these prices, collector valuing the card, they're people that just want the character for the character, then that makes a little bit more sense. Because the Kaido and the Kid have a lot of competitive viability. Not much more than those cards, because those two red cards are fantastic. But this is the card that warps the format. Why is the card that warps the format $8? Anyone? So yeah. Again, same thing as the Kaido. This card is almost always not a 4 of, because, I mean, the Kaido deck usually doesn't care about getting all the way up to 10. It just shoves a bunch of weenie blockers at you, and you just block with those blockers. You don't care. If they overcommit, you just Kaido them. If they don't, you use the other Kaido. The deck really, really just doesn't care. So it plays high numbers of big Chunguses, where this Kid is usually not a 4 of, maybe like a 2 to 3. You can see him. Some people are just nuts and play 4 of him. He's searchable. Again, that Kaido is just undervalued in my opinion. I think this one is okay priced at the $7 to $8 mark. It's just, again, weird that the format warping card is so cheap, but that just means good for us, man. We're eating well with these prices. Like, the secrets, I think, just hold the value because of their secret rarity, but these supers are not terribly priced in my mind. I thought this was going to be way, way worse in terms of pricing for One Piece, but I would be happy paying $7, $8 for this card, picking up a couple of them, maybe a playset. Again, there's 15 currently up on TCG Player. You don't feel too bad. Hey, look, Bro Play Games. Hey, what's going on, guys? So yeah, PPG, setting the price. God bless them. But yeah, I can see this going down. I can also see it going up. This card is absolutely nuts. And it being this price is not too terrible. And we got Law. Law is usually a 4 of. This card is nutty. But again, don't understand these. Like the prices just don't really make too much sense. This card, I guess, was trying to go up for $10, which seems about right for this card. And it has settled somewhere between like 750s. Cardboard Castle, just classic $1 undering of the PPG, which is interesting. As we have more free market access, people buying and moving cards, again, just like the Law deck, the Zorro, and all these cards becoming like very important in that Law deck. This card is really, really good in all green decks. It's a fantastic power play. I'm not sure how much value this will have because this is very archetype specific. The Law will want 4 of these in their decks. No one else, no other leader will want as many as that. So this might go down just a bit, but not by too much. I don't expect this card for the foreseeable, like next couple months, to drop anywhere like lower than $5. I can also see it go up maybe to 10, closer to big events. If Law starts doing really, really well and people really want to switch over to Law and pick up Law related cards, this card can get up to like 10-ish bucks. So it being in the nice little middle zone is a sweet spot for the card. So honestly, can't be mad picking it up for $7.50. If you pick it up for anything less, God bless. We got Mihawk. Now, Mihawk, really, really good card. 9-drop, you already know it's really expensive. It's your top end. Top end that usually ends up being maybe 1 or 2 cards. It being $7, I can see this card going cheaper. It is an obscenely good card, but blue didn't make too much waves in the East, and I guess people are expecting it to make less waves here in the West. So I guess we'll have to see how the format settles. I don't see this card maintaining this price. Actually, I see this card dropping to 5s, $3, $2. Who knows? It might drop just to a very low amount, but on release, these prices are not, like what I'm trying to get at is the fact that the game has just come out. These prices seem really, really fair. People can build their decks very, very easily if they have access to their structure decks. You can easily have whatever deck you want, unless you're playing 4 Shanks for 4 Yamatos, then God bless. But if you're playing anything that just has super rares, you can build your deck pretty easily for the prices that I've seen so far in terms of all the supers and whatnot. So I feel really nice and feel like really good about that. I was expecting this game to be very difficult to get your cards, very expensive. So these prices have me excited to see what comes out next week, you know? And we got our boy King. King, again, 1 or 2 gets played in purple. This card, once again, is really, really powerful. If the format is heavy Law, this card becomes better. It becomes, again, all meta dependent, but I'm very excited to see this card is around $7.50. Again, $5. Less than $5. This is a 2 of, 3 of at max. You can see this card anywhere between like $3 to $5 range. Let's see how players try to shape it up. If your locals has a very high Law count, you might want to pick these up. I'd like to get a play set of almost all the supers, because except with, you know, with some exceptions, but most of them are very, very playable. And I think this card is just absolutely, the art is fantastic and its effect is amazing. So, but the price just doesn't seem right. Once again, not many are out. You can try to use this as like guidelines. I think PPG just put a flat 8 on each of the cards that they were trying to sell as just like to put placeholders. But yeah, $7.50. I can see this card between $3 to $5. No problem. Then we got Boa Hancock being $6, which is weird because she is definitely a 4 of in blue. Card is bananas in all blue decks. Get, you know, they play this 4-drop, 1k counter, blocker, and effect. This card is again overstated. Flamingo plays it, Crocodile plays it, Kaido plays this, like all the blue decks play this. There's a bunch of inventory for this card. They wanted to push it at $10, but it's settling anywhere between $6 because of Card Castle. God bless Card Castle. This price is not bad. Getting these for $5, you get 4 for 20. You don't feel bad for Boa Hancock. She is a really, really good card. If you're playing blue, you're excited because you have your Mihawk is settled at like $5. You have your Boas at $5. You can build your blue deck however the heck you want it for like $50. Nuts. And then we have Kinemon. Kinemon being the lowest price super. Why'd you gotta do my boy Kinemon like this? Yeah, nothing to say. I don't think this card is too nutty. If the Odin deck in the future becomes very, very good and all these Wano cards start really comboing off together, you might see this go up. I don't mind picking these up at like $2. It seems just like kind of like something people will throw at you. Once again, this card was put up at $10. It looks like everyone was trying to put the supers at 10, and then everyone was like, actually, just kidding. And this, we're trying to put them on a real value. So $3. If this is showing for $3 now, this is going to be like nothing, like $1 at best. It requires you to have Odin as your leader. It requires a lot of things in terms of like competitive viability. This card's not super competitively viable at the moment, but might have some time to shine in the future. So definitely keep your eyes open on some Kinemon. And at this price, you don't really mind picking up 4. And then just giving you guys a little breakdown. A bunch of these guys have parallel rares. So besides these price points that we've seen here, we have no idea what they're gonna go for here. Again, the Kinemon parallel rare will probably be the cheapest, just following like the same idea. If these cards are valued like this, their parallel rares should follow suit to an extent. So just have those, have those concerns, have those ideas. You have the Mihawk, the Kaido, the Flaw, the Zoro, the Luffy. You have all of these, the King. Big spoilers. You have all of this that you have to look into. I forgot to talk about the Crocodile, but the Crocodile is just like the Kinemon, very, very cheap. Same idea. I like this Crocodile a lot, actually. So picking it up for $1 seems fantastic for me. So we got, yeah, that's what we got in terms of parallels. Just keep that idea out there. I mean, if your deck is trying to play this Kaido, in my opinion, if this Kaido is undervalued and somehow this is cheaper than these, I'd pick up 4 of this. This card is, look at this thing. My good, I'm just going to click it. Look at this thing, man. Look at this thing. We have no data because we don't know exactly what the ratios are going to be. But if you can pick this up, I think the parallels are just going to follow the idea of like doubling plus some on a card. So if a card was like $10, they should be anywhere between like $35, $40. So almost tripling, quadrupling their price. Kaido is 7. You want to triple, quadruple. Could be like a $30 card. Which for this boy, that's not bad. Honestly, not bad. For those of you that want to bling out your decks, if you just want to play a deck at lowest rarity, just to have your cards, have your playtest, all that good stuff, this is not bad. I'd recommend just building your deck the lowest rarity possible, making sure that you have a nice, good count. You're happy with your deck. You don't want to make any changes. Once you get to that point and you want to bling it out a little bit if you care, then make those decisions. By that, you'll have more time. Cards will come down. Cards might go up. It's very difficult to evaluate that market. Once again, I expect specific decks to be pushed over others. If you're blue, Sag. If you're red, purple, or green, you guys are eating well. So make sure that if, depending on how these tournaments go, as dates get closer for tournaments, you might see prices go up and up and up. So just have that, be aware of that. Be aware of the timeline that you're in and what's coming up in these next couple of months so you have a good idea of what's going on with those cards. And finally, our leaders. I'm not even going to get to the commons and uncommons and rares because I looked at the price. The highest priced card is a $5 uncommon, which is the red card Meet Me at the Archipelago, which is their 1-drop event searcher. Everything else is below $3. Highest is 3, going all the way as low as like pennies. So if you want any commons and uncommons, I'm sure you guys will be able to have access to it. Once you buy a box, I'm sure you'll have more than enough to deal with it yourself and you'll be able to trade for it super easily. With that being said, I just wanted to go ahead and talk about the leaders real quick. It looks like all the leaders are settling anywhere between $8 to $20, I think I saw. This is snapped. I think this is just because there's one listing. Whoever put this listing will probably be the only one that put it. Yeah, this gentleman right here, Harry's House of Cards. If you look at other cards, like say like this Doflamingo, I think someone would have put it up for like a really high value. No, just kidding. Harry just put it at 8. Dang, no one else has put up leader prices, so... Harry currently cornering the market. Currently cornering the market. Why is this Luffy $20? I guess it's because it's Luffy. Sure. If we're just putting cards up because of main character energy, then that makes sense. But all the parallel rares, once again, question mark. Can someone explain to me what the 15 is then? Is it Harry once again? It is just Harry. Okay. So your leaders are anywhere between $8 to $15 to $20 at the mercy of Harry. I would say that leaders are anywhere between like a nice $10. There's no way that they're anything higher than that. And excuse me, anything depending on your leader, this king, no shot, by the way. No shot. Your Odin, no shot. Like, no shot. So, I'd say realistically, $5 to $10 depending on your leader. If it's regular. Parallel rares, man, it's really hard to evaluate those as we don't have access to them what they come in. And even though this king might be like a $2 to $5 leader, have you seen this? This is snapped. This is, wow. Look at that card. So much needs to go into play. Collectability, competitive aspect, art. So much comes into like what makes a card valuable that it's very difficult to evaluate these parallel rares. And I'm just going to leave that to your discretion. We'll get back to you with another market watch soon once we've got the market kind of stabilized and have an idea what's going on with this game. You know, Christmas is going to make this thing weird as hell because as people get access to more time off and more, I guess, finances, uh, things get a little weird. Things get a little weird. That's kind of like what the COVID thing did to card games. More time off and somehow a little bit of stimulus money goes a long way in a lot of markets. So I don't want to go and say anything crazy, but basically this is just to give you guys an idea of what you should be expecting coming into this week, coming into your boxes. Once you open a box, you'll know the value of it. If you don't care, if you just want to collect it, God bless. That's a lot of fun. That's really cool. But if you were looking to make some trades, make a competitive deck, I think you got a lot of options. It's not super expensive right now, in my opinion. You know, I was expecting this to be a ton worse, but you can make what seems to be a very competitive deck for very, very cheap. Once you have the 2 green starter decks and a couple of uncommons and uncommons and a couple of Eustaces, you got a tier 1 deck for like $40, man. That's crazy. So good luck. Happy hunting. Find the One Piece someday.